It's Thursday, October 7th, and we're time for your Barbados Today morning news update. Officials of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association are scheduled to meet for talks amid concerns over the spike in COVID-19 cases and its possible impact on the winter season. BHTA Chairman Jeffrey Roach said stakeholders are worried about the potential economic fallout and the board will meet Thursday to address the development. Roach noted that the significant increase in COVID-19 cases, along with the recently issued U.S. travel advisory against Barbados, had served as a double whammy to the tourism destination.
We are seeing and hearing about more and more cancellations. People, of course, will be skeptical as the numbers rise. So, they've been increasing the number of cancellations. We expect that will probably increase, even though the business is looking promising and has been for the last, let's say, maybe number of weeks. Any threat to those potential forward bookings is a concern.
Barbados and Kenya signed 3 bilateral arrangements on Wednesday, making good on their promise to forge stronger relations. The memorandums of understanding on trade and investment, air services, and the botanical gardens were signed during a special reception at the Hilton, Barbados. Addressing the event, Prime Minister Mia Mottley said the MOUs were an indication that both governments were serious about expanding bilateral cooperation. Mottley said not even the setbacks of the volcanic ash from St. Vincent's La Soufre volcano, the freak storm or Hurricane Elsa, which caused significant damage, could derail Barbados' efforts to forge stronger ties with its African neighbors.
If we paused because bad things happen, we would never make progress. And that we must move on in spite of the bad things where possible. And today, therefore, represents for us that confidence that our journey is the right journey and that we are seeking to reverse effectively centuries of separation. And that we attest today that not even COVID can keep us apart with that commitment to bring us together. Your country and your part of the world, we all know represent the cradle of civilization. And it is important for us to acknowledge and recognize that because too many people today are engaged in the pursuit of fake news and rewriting history. We also recognize that it is absolutely critical that we have a home and partnership in East Africa as a bridge to that further part of the world that goes further east beyond you.
Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta pointed to the need for not only his country and Barbados to work closely together, but the rest of the Caribbean as well.
There is no reason why those of us on the continent can't work with their colleagues in the Caribbean to take advantage of the various arrangements that exist, trade arrangements that exist between these islands and North America. Likewise, there is nothing equal to prevent investors and businessmen and women from these islands to take advantage of the various arrangements that we have with various countries, be it in Europe, Middle East, and Asia, which would also be a bonus, open up new markets and new possibilities for yourselves here as well.
Countries have been urged to prepare for the next pandemic by addressing health threats arising from the connection between humans, animals, and the environment. Director of the Pan American Health Organization, Dr. Caricia Etienne, issued the call during the weekly press conference held on Wednesday.
And just as we work together to control this pandemic, we must consider the ways in which we can collaborate to avoid future pandemics. COVID-19 has been unique in its scale and impact, but it is not the first emerging disease to cause ripple effects throughout the world. Whether it's COVID-19, Ebola, chikungunya, yellow fever, avian influenza, or Zika, we've seen that diseases that spill from animals to people can have severe impacts. We have a list of emerging pathogens that have the potential for public health risk, and almost all of those are either zoonotic, meaning that they can transmit from animals to people, or common to humans and animals. As climate change impacts ecosystems, and as people come into closer contact with animals via urbanization and deforestation, the potential for spillover is increasing. The health sector plays a critical role in managing this risk, but it can't do it alone.
Dr. Aitken also urged regional governments to apply a One Health approach to rapidly detect emerging pathogens that have the potential to pose a public health risk. She said PAO had prioritized this approach for many years.
We need countries to ensure that animal, agricultural, and environmental partners are brought to the table to build more robust surveillance systems that can detect risk faster, prioritize investments in research and development for high-risk pathogens, and establish strong pandemic responses that build on the strengths of these diverse areas of expertise. Because the cost of preventing a pandemic is much less than the cost of responding to one. COVID-19 alone has caused a loss of some $4 trillion in global GDP, and we're not yet out of the woods. So in the months ahead, as countries revisit their health budgets, rethink how they deliver healthcare, and engage in global efforts to prevent the next pandemic, we want to urge everyone to build on this One Health approach as the smartest, most effective way to protect ourselves from the next crisis that can lead to a global pandemic.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
From the region, Guyana recorded a 14.5% economic growth during the first 6 months of this year, mainly due to the oil sector. Gordon Mosley of News Source Guyana reports.
In its mid-year report, the Ministry of Finance indicated that while overall growth for the first 6 months of the year stands at 14.5%, the non-oil economy recorded growth of 4.8%. The devastating floods across the country earlier this year and the ongoing impact of the COVID-19 pandemic are being blamed for several non-oil sectors not performing well. According to the Finance Ministry, the effects of the floods and the pandemic have also spilled over into the second half of the year. It said due to the unprecedented floods, which impacted particularly the agriculture, forestry, and mining sectors, along with the lingering effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, the effects of which will spill over into the last half of this year and even beyond, the revised full-year forecast for real GDP growth in 2021 is now 19.5% overall and 3.7% for the non-oil economy. The mid-year finance report noted that the agriculture, forestry, and fishing industries have contracted by 2.4%, compared with a decline of 4.1% for the corresponding period last year.
And finally, the World Health Organization on Wednesday said the only approved vaccine against malaria should be widely given to African children. We get more in this report from Reuters TV.
This vaccine is a gift to the world but its value will be felt most in Africa.
The World Health Organization on Wednesday recommended the first approved vaccine for malaria should be widely given to African children, potentially marking a major advance against a deadly disease.
Using this vaccine in addition to existing tools to prevent malaria could save tens of thousands of young lives each year.
The WHO estimates malaria killed 386,000 Africans in 2019. 2.3 million doses of the vaccine Mosquirix, developed by British drug maker GlaxoSmithKline, have been given to infants in Ghana, Kenya, and Malawi since 2019 in a large-scale pilot program. That program followed a decade of clinical trials in 7 African countries. The WHO says 94% of malaria cases and deaths occur in Africa, a continent of 1.3 billion people. The preventable disease is caused by parasites transmitted to people by the bites of infected mosquitoes. The vaccine's effectiveness at preventing severe cases of malaria in children is only around 30%, but so far it is the only approved vaccine.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.